Today's guest is an awe-inspiring emerging leader and one of my favorite humans to do life with. Jamie Nestor, she's taught from Japan to Jersey and now educates her peers and their students in Central Virginia. Her mission is simple but fierce. Prioritize and empower teachers so every student thrives. Jamie embodies high challenge, high support, zero pretense, practical courage, and a whole lot of heart. This is the Cultivate Experience. Welcome, relational leaders and listeners. This is Cultivate, your podcast destination where we celebrate thriving relational leaders and encourage each other along the influence journey. I am Wendy F. Adams, your host and strategic guide. I believe work shouldn't be a four-letter word, but should inspire, challenge, and fulfill. Through a high challenge and high support model, we will explore the recipe for relational leadership that drives meaningful change. After all, as leaders, we're either driving progress or we're driving the problem. So let's grow together. Welcome back to a fresh episode of Cultivate. Today is a very special occasion. Strap on your seatbelts, as I am blessed to welcome a fierce emerging leader, people champion, and a dear inner circle friend to the show today, Jamie Nestor. And I actually got the last name right. You'll understand why. As a STEM instructional technology specialist and people and assistant principal with Prince Edward County Public Schools. Jamie, I am beyond excited to have you joining the Cultivate Experience.
I'm excited to be here.
Look, the green room time, as I like to say, that we have goes back years. So we can't even get the audience to the fullness of that. We've done so much life together: weddings, new last name, losses, my 50th, and all the messy middles that we've had in between. So this episode could literally turn into a 6-part series. But today we're highlighting the parts of your leadership journey that, well, no one may know or get the depths of or even applauding, but it's who brings you to where you are today. So the audience is in for a full treat. You know this, the audience knows we always start with the why. That's where we begin and where our foundation is. So I love your personal mission statement. Prioritize, empower, recognize, support, high impact, thriving. I mean, you couldn't have written the Cultivate script any better. So I want you to be able to flesh that out for the audience and just give us a little bit of how that came to be in your space, this why.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just re-pulled up my why because I was like, let me get that word for word, how I shared it, so that way I can really speak to that. So the why that I shared with you, if you don't mind me reading it just verbatim right
Please.
now, is to prioritize and empower teachers, recognizing their vital role in student success so that together we, myself, their teachers, anybody else can create a supportive, high impact learning environment where all students can thrive. And that to me is huge because I personally, when I started teaching back in 2011, so
Mm,
let's take it back a little while, I was overseas in Japan. And so I felt, as amazing of an experience as that was, I didn't have a coach, right? A lot of new
hmm
teachers have a coach. I had an incredible teacher next to me who I learned a lot from. I had a lot of teachers around me, but I didn't have anybody specifically that was a coach. And then in 2015, I moved down to Virginia. And in 2017, I started teaching math in a middle school in Bedford, Stanton River Middle. Shout out, because I learned so much. That is where I grew the most. And when I
yeah.
first started, I had a coach because she saw me. She was like, you have experience, but you've never been in a middle school. And for any teacher listening, your first year, whether it's year 1 or year 35, your first
Mm.
year in a new school, new subject, new anything is like totally new. And it's hard and it's challenging. So I had this coach who was just incredible. Like we're still friends now. But she was just incredible. She would come in my room, she would shut the door, she would say, listen, let me help you. Let's try to do this. Let's try to do that. She saw what I needed. And after that year, when I finally started to come into my own, and I stayed at Stanton River for 7 years, I just felt like that had such an impact on me that all I literally could do was just be that. Like, I just wanted to be that. So I
Mm,
asked a friend of mine that I worked with, I was like, how do I become her? Like, how do I become this person? He was like, get your admin degree, get out of the classroom, start doing that. And that's exactly what I did. And so I got my admin degree from Longwood, and I really started striving for being a mentor, being someone who can just come alongside teachers and say, listen, you're doing the hard work inside the classroom. Let me do the hard work outside. Let me look for resources. Let me build curriculum for you. Let me like do those things that you don't have time for, but we know will benefit the student.
yeah.
And this is my second year as an instructional coach, my first year as an admin, and that's its own mess. But this year, being at the elementary school so much has really allowed me to get into classrooms a little bit more that I wasn't able to. And then I work very closely with our middle school math team. We have fifth through eighth grade at the middle school here in Prince Edward. And so I go over there every week and I work with them during their planning once a week. And then I do things from my side as much as I can. And
Hmm.
that relationship took a year to build. I've started beginning of last year working here, but then also working with them. And it has just taken time, right? It just takes time. And and now I look forward to those days. When can I get into the middle school math? When can I get over there? When can I talk to them? Like I'll check up on them. Um, and it's just about the relationships. Like it's just about building relationships. And I know you're huge on relationships and we really connected with that. But it's just about what can I do for them that they don't have the time to do?
Hmm.
Because as a teacher, there's never enough time. There's
What do you
never
mean?
enough time in
We
the
we
day.
talked about not having enough time in the green room and the things,
Yeah.
the necessities of life that
Yes.
we don't have time
Yes.
for.
Like I don't now that I've been out of the classroom for just over a year, I don't even remember how I did it all.
Mm,
Like there were days where I went home and I was just so exhausted from like just here, there, here,
yeah.
and then you're dealing with everything that you need to within the classroom, but then you have everything else that's going on outside the classroom, but then you have, behaviors and you have different things that you're doing, and you're just like, it's just so much. So I always promised myself if I ever got into a position where I could help teachers, I would take it as an opportunity to do those things to take something off their plate. Like if I come in and I'm observing you, I'm not doing it so that way I'm like, here's one more thing you need to do. It's
Mhm.
how can I help you put the correct things on your plate, not put one more thing on your plate. And I heard that from a leader that we have in our division right now. And I was
Mhm.
like, let me put that on my wall. Like, I want to put the right things on your plate, not just one more thing.
If the audience wonders why we connected and how we stay connected, they don't any longer, right? That relational component. And I don't know how often we hear it, not because it doesn't exist in education, because y'all are tight. I mean, I've got a lot of educators that I love in my life. Those relationships are tight, but hearing you flesh out how important it is for the work, for
Mhm.
the students, for you as a unit and a team moving forward, for the families you're pouring into, right? That it is foundational. That's what I want an audience to be able to draw from our conversation. And just so everyone knows, this is not just Jamie in the classroom because I don't teach, I coach. It looks different.
Mhm.
We've done work together in our church and in small group. We've had opportunity in our community to be side to side. This is just who she is. And I think that's what's another wonderful thing is you are bringing the potential out in those that you are able to coach, that you're able to lead, that you're having these relationships for things that they may not see in themselves.
Mhm.
So you touched on quite a bit of what's brought you to where you are. Want to know if we can kind of hone in on those hills and valleys. You and I have been doing this life thing together now for 8.5, almost 9 years. What's a hilltop episode in your life, space that fuels you come Monday morning. You're like, that's what's driving me to continue. It
Mm,
was when this happened. And on the flip side, that valley, that, where we learn and grow most, that
mm.
forges the relationship leadership that you're talking about. Like, what does that look like? And where do you pinpoint those spaces in your journey?
I would say my hilltop is the relationships that I have built with students in the past. When
Mm,
I left teaching last year, it kind of happened very quickly to come over to Prince Edward. I left Stanton River right before school was about to start. And I went into my classroom with my mom to help. She was helping me clean it out. And I cried. I cried driving
mm,
over there. Stopped at Joe Bean's. I'm like a mess, and if you know anything about Joe Bean's, like I'm like, I need my coffee, but I'm a mess. And I get there and I'm the whole time, the whole drive from the house, I'm like, am I making a mistake?
mm,
I love teaching. I absolutely loved being in the classroom, but I was very burnt out and I knew what I wanted to do was outside of the classroom. And I had been offered this incredible position over here at Prince Edward as mostly as a STEM specialist, but then I was able to get into some of the coaching. Um, and my mom looks at me and she was like, God's not going to open this door if he doesn't have it for you. Like this is what you want. Like you want. And I was like, okay. I say, but I'm leaving my kids. Like,
mhm,
and teaching, I taught seventh grade. So any of my students that I had in seventh grade, when they went over to eighth grade, they would still come see me. They're on a different hallway, but they were always like, Miss Pop, like my maiden name, Miss Pop, Miss Pop. And I love just, how you doing? Fist bumps, high fives, high side hugs, whatever it is. Like, how is life? And they
mhm,
would come see me during open house and everything. And I grieved that
mhm,
because I see the relationships that the teachers are making here, and I grieved that last year. I didn't get to make those relationships, but that's what fuels me to help the teachers now
yeah,
create those with the curriculum and the engaging activities that they're doing within the classroom. Students will not learn from you if they do not trust you. It could be their most favorite subject ever. They will not learn if they don't trust you. So you have to build that. So that's why teaching is such a hard position because we're here for 10 months with them. You spend the first 3 to 4 just building those relationships and getting them to trust you. And
right.
then you have like a couple good months and then you say goodbye and you have to start all over again. So I was able to build a reputation at Stanton River. So people knew what they were expecting when they came up. And I taught siblings and I taught family members. Um, there was a parent who was the dental hygienist for my dad last year. And she saw our last name and
Mm,
connected it and was like, your daughter teach? And he was like, well, not anymore. Why did she leave? My child was supposed to have her. We were so looking forward to it. Like, that's what fuels me. And those relationships will carry me. Like, I am like 100% a relationship person, especially when it comes to students. In my position now as an admin, I'm able to start doing that. Now I'm building
mhm.
relationships with some of those students that are more challenging because I see them more in my office.
That's why they come see you.
But my goal is to help make the teacher's life a little bit easier if I can kind of help tame their behaviors down or pull them out for a walk or have a conversation with them, change their day around, whatever it is. So when I have my really hard moments, I think about what impact am I having on those kids? And I'm not reaching every child. As a
Mhm.
teacher, I didn't reach and I had, thousands of kids in my classroom. I did not reach every child. And you understand that. Like, okay, it's we just don't mesh and that's fine. Um, but most of them I could, at least through building a relationship. And that doesn't mean they're going to pass their SOL. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have a failing grade. That just means that at least when they're in my classroom for that 50 minutes to an hour, they feel safe, they feel heard, they feel loved, and they might learn something. And so that,
And you see them taking that on when there's that, like you said, relationship and connection that's made, that there's a fist bump in the hallway.
yeah,
Or we don't want them to have to come to your office as an admin, but they're not dreading it.
Yeah.
Or you start to see them create reasons to come see you. You recognize that they are making those connections, right?
Mhm.
So God bless you, because seventh grade, your favorite. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
special place, right?
Yeah.
12 and 13-year-olds, there's a demanding space there.
Mhm.
What do you think those 12 and 13-year-olds are actually teaching us as leaders that the average adult may want to avoid? Because I think there's teaching going on both sides. So
Oh,
what do
yeah.
you see in that space?
I see them teaching me not to take things so seriously all the time.
Mm,
I remember my first year, I felt like all I did was yell and snap, and I'm an Italian from Jersey, so I got that right there. I learned from them that they're going to be 12 and 13-year-olds. There's age appropriate behavior that goes
mm,
along with every age. And you having so many of like your little nieces and nephews from you understand every stage is different. And there are so many appropriate behaviors that we as adults would say,
mm,
what? Like, have you thought that through? But to them, that's very rational. And so
mm,
I just had to learn throughout just trial and error, making mistakes, having to be humble and go to the student and say, I said things that maybe I should not have said. I approached the situation terribly. I didn't give you a chance. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Like I've had that conversation with students before where
yeah.
I have said, oh, sorry, and sometimes it's not in the moment. Sometimes it's later. Sometimes it's the next day when rationally thought things through. But I have definitely had to learn humility, and I've had to learn that I am not always right. In the confines of my classroom, that is my space. I've built that up, but I do make mistakes and I do things that are wrong. And I've had teachers here that I have had to have that conversation with as well. Ooh, I didn't make the right choice because they come to me saying, Miss Nestor, I have an issue with this kid. I need this. And sometimes I don't think I listen fully or I don't
Mm,
take it on fully. And so I've really had to learn through teaching those lovely seventh graders who are classified as the armpit of life. Like that is where I classify them. One, they stink because their bodies are changing. They refuse to take their hoodies off in the middle of summer. Um, Deodorant is like foreign to them. And you're just like, please, for the love of
what?
God, or it's the other side where they wear too much, and they're
Mm.
just like constantly and you're like allergies. So it's constant. Like it's constantly back and forth, but I was never bored. I always had something, that I tried to say positive about the day or, something funny that a kid did or whatever it was. And by the end of it, I had a student come up to me. I don't know if it was my last year or my second to last year or something, but I had a student come up to me one time. She said, Miss Pop, I really like being in your class. And I said, well, thank you. Is it the math? Is it the, whatever? And she was like, you don't get angry at us. And I like looked at her and I was like,
Mm.
well, what do you mean? I've had plenty of like sit down moments, but I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, you don't get angry at us. If something happens, you talk to us, you let it go, and I was like, well, first of all, school is not a place for anger. Like it's not, it is a place of learning. It's a place of building character. It's a place, like, it's not a place of anger. So
Mm,
let's keep that outside. I don't know where these kids are coming from. So a
mhm.
lot of them are coming from homes where anger is normal and there's a lot of screaming going on. So if that is what your home life is like, then I don't want your school life to be like that. And then third of all, you're 13. Like unless you're doing something completely out of pocket, disrespect, fighting, language, whatever
Dangerous,
it
yeah.
is that needs to be addressed and needs like an immediate, then I'm not going to get angry. But I had to learn that. And I had to learn that the hard way. My first year students would never have said that about me. My seventh year students, that was developed. And they knew that when they were in my classroom, they were going to learn and they were going to have a safe environment. Now, it's not every day because, first of all, I'm human, but second of all, these children be crazy, right? Um,
Real talk. But you know what she shared with you there was, and not in those words, but thank you for seeing and hearing us, right?
right.
When she said you
Mhm,
don't get angry, it's because I've been seen
mhm,
for being that seventh grader,
mhm,
for being that I have a home life that may not have anything but yelling and screaming.
mhm,
And so I think when we talk about and we get into this space of leadership, we can put the title behind it and where we're walking this leadership out, but the outcomes are the same, whether we're talking about a seventh grade student or we're talking about corporate America or in the
mhm,
nonprofit sector. That's what people want who are being influenced by us to be seen, to be heard, to be
mhm,
recognized for the full human. And we cannot negate the fact of what you started this conversation with are the moments where you have been able to go back and say, I didn't get this right. I'm
mhm,
really sorry.
mhm,
That humility aspect of things really sets the tone for the trust that we've been talking about and the relationships. There is no relationship built if I can't trust you. And
right.
that means I have to be able to trust that when you, as a leader, have misstepped or hurt or wronged,
Mhm,
once you can acknowledge that, then we have a space where I can say, okay, we can keep walking this journey together.
mhm,
And I don't want audience to miss that. Now, I would love the audience to have the opportunity that I've had, which is to go back to your Instagram years ago and just entertained after entertain because the stories where you go, that's a thing. Like,
yeah,
who
yeah,
does that? But you just spoke out, and what you received from that student and others is the whole calling up, right? High support. They knew you supported them,
mhm,
and you were going to also challenge, hey,
yeah,
come on, now you know better, because I've heard you say that, not in Miss Pop's class, and I'm sure at this point not in Miss Nestor's office, like, don't play. So I love that. How does that translate now that you're
mhm,
doing that with more of your the adults, the
yeah,
teachers, in keeping them in that, hey, I hear you, I see you,
mhm,
and I got to challenge you to do better
yeah.
because you've had to challenge yourself. How did that translate?
I think part of it is the presence, being present.
Mm,
Um, Now it's hard with me being part-time. So I physically am not in the elementary building 2.5 days a week. So I kind of build it where because I have my office here in the elementary building, then I have my office in the school board office where I do my instructional work. And I kind of actually, like, I physically have to split my time because if I'm here, I know that I'm going to get pulled in different directions. So not being in the building half of the time is a little bit more challenging because you just need to be present. But when I am
mhm,
here, I try to walk around, I try to poke in, I try to go to their planning meetings whenever I can. I do bus duty in the mornings and in the afternoon when I'm here. So just being present, being around. Some teachers are like, "Can I have your phone number so I can text you if there's a," and if I'm available, then I'm there. Um, so being present, trying to build that relationship up where I am somebody that they can rely on is helpful. It's hard when they're like, "Hey, can you?" And I'm like, "I'm not admin today. Like I'm at the middle school or and that's hard because I know that they need that
mhm.
presence. Even just having an administrator around is helpful for classroom management reasons
Yeah.
and everything. Um, but then I try to just listen when they speak because as soon as they start speaking, I'm usually thinking, okay, how am I going to solve this? How am I going to, should I pull the suit? Should I do like, but sometimes they just need to speak. And sometimes they
Yeah.
don't even want you to do anything about it. They just need, can you just hear me?
Yeah.
Can you're somebody who has authority. Can you just hear me? And I wish it could be like, I really don't. Like I'm just I'm, I don't make all the decisions like, especially cuz I'm only part-time, so I don't really make a lot of decisions. There's only a few things. Um and so it's just, can you just hear what I'm saying? We had a couple teachers come to me a while ago, and they expressed some concern that they had about some students, and I said, I need to take this to the principal. I need to, and when I went to the principal, she was like, that was already on our radar. We already have a
Mm,
plan, but because it's being brought up now more, we're going to actually start it. And it started. Um, and I think those teachers just needed, like, they just needed to be heard. And then it just was able to kind of go through, and it doesn't always happen that fast, but it was able to kind of move through. And sometimes it's really just knowing, okay, I am the authority though to some degree, and I need you to do the things that I need you to do. And I'm not doing it personally. I'm doing it because it's all about our students. Like at the
yeah.
end of the day, every decision that we make here needs to be about our students. So if you're not making the correct decisions, then I'm going to say something. Um, and
You're
if,
constantly bringing them back to
yeah,
that why. Why are we all here? I
mm,
love the fact, and you didn't highlight this, but in the midst of that, I have to believe that those teachers also see you as you get us because you are. And
yeah,
I'm not going to say were. I know that you aren't traditionally in the classroom with your lesson plans, but they have to still see you in that space of you get it. You have been
mhm,
in the trenches. And
yeah,
so when you say they just need someone to hear them and see them, they may recognize or not how much authority you have, but in
mhm,
that moment, it's someone you get this.
yeah,
And I think that that helps in the balance of what sounds like cray cray at when you describe how you split yourself. Like, can you split the atom that way? But I think that that's what those colleagues are being able to garner from you.
yeah,
Okay, you're the math girl. We
yeah,
know that. I don't try to even compete in that space for sure. So that's data.
mhm,
But then I know the Italian Jersey girl. You've got a gut that pushes and
mhm,
points you in direction. Balancing those things, right? That data, I know my gut tells me this. When you're looking at how to change outcomes, whether that's behavior, grades, building trust, where do you think you tend to lean in that space?
um, not data. It's usually like, I'm just gonna do, and I'm gonna ask for forgiveness later, or oops, like and that's usually because I think through, like, okay, if I were the one doing this, like
Mm,
if I were the teacher, I were the one, this is what I would do. And sometimes it came to a point in my own classroom where I didn't ask permission. I just did things because I
mm,
knew that it was right for my students. And so yes, there is a chain of command that you have to follow, and there are certain things that you have to do, and everything is usually, we got to keep the kids safe. We have to keep them learning. Like those are usually things. But sometimes there is space for other things. And so a while ago, towards the beginning of the year, or maybe it was a month ago, I can't honestly, I don't know, time is not
you
relevant.
know.
Um we had a medical emergency at the school.
Mm,
I was the first one that was in there. I happened to be literally in the classroom next door. A child from the next classroom came busting in. We needed, like, and I was like, "Hmm?" So I followed them in, medical emergency, to the point where EMS had to be called. Child's fine. She just got overheated and passed out, but then, so she's fine though.
a hoodie.
Um, it's really. And so the children though in the classroom when this happened were traumatized. Like the first
Mhm.
thing was get the kids out. So the teacher took the children out. I stayed with the one that was having the emergency. Other people came, it like in and everything. So our school's under construction right now. And so my office is in a trailer that they have for the third and fourth graders right now. And so I said, my office is open. It's the size
Mm.
of a classroom. Go in there. Just go in there. And they were like, okay. And that was fine. So later on, I came back, checked it, and they were traumatized. Okay. Like as any fourth grader would be, they were traumatized.
Yeah.
And they were like, are they? And I said, she's fine. She's talking. She's fine. Mom's, everything's okay.
Mm.
So they went back to their classroom. I called our counselor. I was like, please check in on these students. And then I went to the other teacher because they switched classes, and I said, this is what happened. They need to have a better afternoon. She was like, I was going to give them a test, but I probably won't give
Mhm.
them the test. I said they did. And
Mm.
I was like, if anybody questions why you didn't do what was on the lesson plan, they can come talk to me. They need it. Like these children need to not take a math test and they need to just be able to express what they're feeling. So they drew cards for the student. They played games. They talked. They wrote, and like some kids were, and so I checked in on them again, like I did, and I was just like, I don't care. Like I don't care what it says today. I don't care. Just do what needs to be done. Their emotional well-being is more important than the lesson plan.
That's where you put your care,
And
right? At
sometimes
that
that
point, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of times where I will say that in meetings or to a teacher, and I'll just say, "You do what's right for the student." And
People over process.
if that's gonna be a problem, then that's a problem. But you do what's right for the student.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that's what I've always done.
Well, and obviously it's taken you far. And again, I what I don't hear in that is no care for process because again, we've done things. You are
Mhm.
rules matter, right?
Yeah. Oh,
We have
absolutely.
guardrails and boundaries for a purpose and a reason, but not to hold us back from seeing and meeting needs of the people that are right in front of us.
Mhm.
Crazy as this sounds, our time is almost up.
Oh,
And
no.
I told
It
6
goes
episodes
so fast.
it moves so quickly, but I would be remiss, and you might get in trouble, if we didn't speak about like, you've got a whole life that's going on, right?
Mhm.
So, Mr. Hunter, you're in this new season, right? And
Yep.
so let's give shout outs
Yep.
to your hubby and how he's come alongside this fierce woman and and doing well. But you're in this newlywed season.
Mhm.
I saw those just because roses. I saw that
Mhm.
post. That
Mhm.
man's
He's good
doing
at
good
that.
things. Yeah. Where are the boundaries and the
Mhm.
rhythm that you're having to find? It's not like you're twiddling your thumbs at work and
Mhm.
now you're, working on this new relationship. What does that look like for you to be able to integrate both of those things, not lose yourself in the midst of it?
I definitely well, first of all, I fall asleep on the couch at like 8 o'clock every night. And Hunter will wake me up at 9 o'clock on the dot and be like, time for bed. So he gets it. He is so supportive.
Mm,
And that was when they approached me in July, the week before we got married, to take on this position. I immediately called him. I said, what do you think? We're gonna be newly married. We're just kind
mhm.
of like he started a new job.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing this. What and he was like, go for it. Like, I don't even know why it's a question. Go for it. He was like, but he said, if it seems like it's taking too much from you and you are not able to keep all the balls up in the air, he said, we'll
Mhm.
have to have a conversation and you might have to pull back. He was like, but there's no harm in trying. So he's
Love it.
super supportive. When we get home from work, because we get home about the same time if I'm not late here. And the weather's nice. We'll take our dog for a walk around our complex. And we both just, you know, the days, like we just talk about what's going on at his work, what's going on here. We just kind of vent and everything, just share. And then we kind of let it go. Right. So that is our time. Or if I have Bible study and I'm not going to see him, I'll call him on the way and I'll just, we just talk or whatever. We want to hear about each other's day. But I try not to monopolize the conversation where it's only about here. Like there's things
Mhm.
going on at his work too. Um, and then we kind of let it lie. We try not to bring it up too much anymore the rest of the night, unless it's like something super crazy, but it's just this is what happened today. He checks in on me throughout the day. We always text each other throughout the day, and if we don't answer each other, we know that we're just like super busy, and it's like, okay, see you later. Like, and then we try to have time for each other, especially on the weekends or during the week if we can. Like we really do. I told him, I said, we're gonna have to find that middle ground
Mhm.
where work is important but work is work. And
Yeah.
so we need to leave it there as best as we can. And we really do. I don't feel like either of us feel left out by anything. Now, we've only been married 3 months. So who knows? Ask me in like 6 months and I'll probably be like, oh, it's a different story. So who knows? But we really do try to prioritize each other. We try to do things with our dog on the weekends or with family. Um, we
And
don't.
you're setting a really strong foundation. And you're right.
Mhm,
6 months looks different. I mean, you know how long your parents have been married, right? So
mhm,
there are different seasons, but
yeah.
that foundation that you're setting as far as we've got to integrate. So
Mhm,
it's not that you're keeping it away from, but you're not allowing each of your careers
mhm.
to dominate that space. I love the fact that he like puts you to bed at 9 o'clock. That's, it's
Well,
okay.
I get up so early, so
Yeah.
I'm just like, I have to go to bed early, but it's become like a habit where I'm sleeping soundly, right? Like, I'm sleeping, and he comes over, and he'll wake me up or whatever, and I always am like, "No," like, it's a whole thing, and then it's like, slowly he'll pull the blanket off, and then I'm just like, "No," and I'm probably super annoying because 'cause I'm also, like, half asleep, but he'll be, like, 7:45, and he's like, yeah, he's like, "Oh, 15 more minutes to nap time." Like, he's like
He gets it. He gets it.
he gets it
Well,
'cause he knows how much I put out here, and some days, like today, like we talked about prior, today, I did not stop. I did not stop at all, and
yeah.
that's normal, but that's also abnormal. Like, we had extra stuff going on today, so that just kind and there's 4 admin, 2 were out of the building today, so we were just like, "Ah."
Oh,
So,
yeah.
today was just one of those days, but then it's also like that keeps me going too because I don't wanna just, like, sit around. Like, I'm watching
Yeah.
all these amazing teachers do things, like, I'm not just gonna sit here, so of course I'm gonna, um, but he knows, like, he's gonna get an earful when I get home because he'll text me. He texted me earlier, he's like, "How's it going?" And I was like, "Nonstop," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
This he's like, "Ooh, Imma get a whole 3 episodes on what's happening."
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
You've heard me say this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't lean into this space before we wrap up. As self-appointed, it's been given to me elephant slayer. There's always an elephant in the space, in the room, things that need to be dealt with. And, how we deal with it, one bite at a time. Yes, but where do we start in that space? Right now, K-12. Is there a space cuz you're at Prince Edward. You're in that county. But that's not always where you've been, and we've talked about, we've Japan, Jersey, we're here now in Lynchburg. You've seen it in this education space, specifically K-12 foundational. What's the space that maybe is that elephant that we're tiptoeing around? And what are you and your team starting to take those brave steps? What does that look like in confronting that?
Kids are different now.
Mm,
Um, COVID really messed it up,
mm,
and I taught pre-COVID and post-COVID during COVID, post-COVID, like, I taught it all.
yes.
The kids are different. Um, I don't know if it was the trauma from it. I don't know if it's the increased cell phone screen time. They can hide behind it now. They're different. A lot of them don't value education like they used to. It
Wow.
has kind of become well, it's there. It's not as important anymore. And I think it's because we went so far from we were in the classroom, and this was nobody's fault of this, but we went so far from we're in the classroom every day, kids are here, they're learning, to now we're completely digital. And then we come back and we didn't know
Right.
how to transition back. And
Yeah.
so we have these kids who don't know how to be in a classroom. They don't know how to interact with their peers. It is really hard to teach the post-COVID kid, regardless of
Mm,
their age. Now, some of the younger ones who weren't as affected, maybe they weren't alive yet because our school goes as low as pre-K, so they might not have been born yet. But some of them are starting to gain that back.
mm.
But it's really hard to take the mindset of I was digital back to how it used to be. Um, Now, technology has a place. I'm one of our tech people, right? So technology has a place, but it should not be in place of the teacher. When
Yeah.
we came back from COVID, I remember open house and parents would look at me and say, "Are you going to teach?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like in front of my child, not on the screen. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm
Wow.
like, that's my job. Of course I'm going to teach them." They were so afraid that their child was going to be left on a screen all
Screen.
day again, that they weren't going to get a good education. And so I think we're afraid to reevaluate how we do things now
Mm.
because we were forced, right? In the span of like 3 months, we were forced to go completely digital,
Yeah.
which nobody was ready for because we didn't have to be. So we were forced to go completely digital. And now we don't know how to go back because we spent time and resources and energy building all of that up. So we don't know how to go back. We don't know how to teach our kids. And some are phenomenal. I have worked with some incredible teachers, but some are stuck a little bit.
Yeah.
These
That's
kids
what it sounds like,
Yes.
stuck.
These kids are different. They are challenging. And some of it is there's not a lot of support and education isn't highly regarded. Some of it is um I don't really care. Like, and
Mm.
it's really hard to know
Yeah.
unless you get to know the whole child, and that takes time. And so you really just have to build that foundation and just find what's going to work. And every year is different. So what worked for you last year isn't going to work for you this year, or it might, but you have to find that. And once you find that, you gotta monopolize on it. But they also have the attention span of a cricket. So it's, it might work today and not tomorrow. So.
Yeah, don't hold on to it too tightly. Well, look, this is a big question, and it's how we're gonna wrap things up.
Mm,
But I picture you one day on a TED Talk stage. I have. Since we've known each other. If you were addressing and you had to do your 90-second, I'm gonna grab them opener. Colleagues are in the room, policy champions of K-12, parents, they're feeling overwhelmed by the weight of all of these things that we've talked about: educational needs, leadership. What
mm,
would you say to call them back to the purpose and to
mm,
give them hope? If you
mm.
had 90 seconds to open that up, what would that sound like?
I would encourage them with remembering that we are blessed to be in this position.
Mm,
Um, we get the absolute privilege to spend more time with some of these children than their own families do. And in that span of time, we can change the trajectory, my goodness, of their entire lives.
yeah,
One good teacher can change a kid who didn't care about school into somebody who cares, and one bad teacher can do the opposite.
yeah,
So we, as educators, as admin, as support staff, as school nurses, as secretaries, everybody that interacts with students on a day-to-day basis has the absolute blessing to have that child in front of them for whatever span of time, whether it's the entire day for our little friends or it's just one block of time for our older friends. We get that. And there is a
yeah,
reason that that specific student was put into that person's classroom for that span of time. And if we don't try to change their life in a good way, then we have wasted 10 months.
wow,
Like we've wasted it.
yeah,
And some teachers, they're tired, right? Like they hear that they're tired. But some are here and they're ready and they're excited and they just need that.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, that does put us in a place of let's remember it's for such a time and the impact that you have, right? And that's for policymakers in this space. And they may not be in the classroom, but those decisions that have to be made hard,
Mhm,
that impacts in that same way, and allowing teachers to do that very thing, be the change in
mhm.
this child's life one at a time. Well, you know where we go from here because you've given us some glimpses behind the scenes, but I'm going to rapid fire with you. All
Okay.
right. And I know these answers, and you've given some glimpses already. Your leadership soundtrack. What artist or genre speaks to your leadership vibe?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know about my leadership vibe because I like I think I'm pretty energetic. So it's really just like anything that's going to keep anything that's just going to keep you going. So like some pit bull. I never turn off Hootie and the Blowfish. Just,
Come on.
they've got some slow songs, but they've got some good stuff. Like anything that's just going to kind of get you up, get you going. Anything that you can dance to, like it's all about, getting you up. Right. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, just get up and move around a little bit. Like,
So 3 months into marriage, but that's not the extent of your relationship. So Hunter knows you fairly well.
mhm.
If he had one word to describe his new best friend, what would that be?
He would probably say powerful. Um, I try not to overstep my bounds when it comes to being a wife. But I'm pretty powerful in a lot. Like, in if I want something done, it's gonna get done. Like,
Did we say Jersey and Italian?
yeah, yeah,
Right?
two-edged sword
Right?
right here. Yeah.
All right. I know you're the coffee girl. Everyone knows I'm the
Mhm,
cocoa girl.
mhm.
Favorite place in Lynchburg for you to grab your coffee?
Oh, Joe Beans, 100%.
Did you hear that, Joe Beans?
Yes, Joe Beans.
Absolutely. And they do it so well because they're going to get your coffee taken care of. They do a great hot
Yep,
cocoa for me.
yep.
And there's muffins and scones and
Oh
anyway,
my
I
goodness.
yeah.
I'm gluten free. So they had a pumpkin chocolate chip, gluten free, and I think it was dairy free too. It didn't have anything good in it, but it was so delicious. They had it a couple weeks ago from a local bakery. Um, Immediately, I was like, I don't care what we have to do. We need to get to a Joe Beans today because I need to have one of those muffins. And it was so good. Even Hunter ate some of it and he was like, well, this is actually pretty good. And I was like, see?
And it doesn't have all the stuff.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, and we it wouldn't be a Cultivate episode if we didn't ask favorite ice cream flavor.
Favorite ice cream. I've been thinking about it all day. Okay. So being also dairy free, if I go to Mr.
Yes.
Goodies, they have an incredible dairy free cake batter.
Oh,
I don't know what they put in it, but it is so good. But just in general, anything with peanut butter and brownie.
okay.
That peanut butter
Um,
brownie, like if I go to the store and I get something, Ben and Jerry's has really good dairy free ice cream. They have some that peanut butter and like that little. If it has chunks, if it has swirls, if it's just all mixed together, I really don't care how it's put in there.
as long as they're together.
Peanut butter and brownie.
All right. Well, and I so appreciate. I knew this conversation was going to fill me because you've done that for almost a decade. Today was no different. I know the audience and there are educators out there who are hearing what you're saying
Mhm.
and today it hit them in a different way and that's exactly what we want. You pursue excellence and then you turn around and you empower others to do the same. That's what speaks into your relational leadership. The discipline and genuine care that you have for others and how they grow is awe inspiring. And I appreciate what you do and how you speak into my life and space and what you continue to do for others. So thank you for saying yes today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I was so excited when I saw that and I was like, yeah, love Wendy. We love what
Absolutely. We love Wendy. As Hunter continues to ask, and now he knows.
Uh-huh.
Well, Cultivate collaborators, you know that today that's a wrap. But remember, it's never over because each of us brings our own special flavor to the mix of relational leadership. So until next time, let's keep stirring things up, keep making an impact, and keep being better together. Thanks, everyone. Before we sign off today, I want to send out huge appreciation to our listeners for tuning in. I hope you felt seen, heard, and inspired to level up your own leadership journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you're ready to level up your leadership, connect with me at cultivateforgood.com. That's cultivateforgood.com.